All year round, Frontier Home Products and Design has what you need to make your home comfortable and beautiful. Relax on a new timber tech deck designed by Frontier's experts. A new fireplace from Frontier Home Products Fireplace Gallery adds warmth and serenity to any home. Beauty and versatility at Frontier Home Products and Design Center, 4213 Peachtree, 5th next to the Bayfront Highway.
Frontier Home Products and Design Center. Discover a new frontier.
PA contractor number PA039007.
Get paid to drive. Start a new career behind the wheel at the EMTA. If you are looking for a high-paying and rewarding career with full benefits and paid training, stop by or apply online today with the EMTA. Plus, EMTA riders can now enjoy free Wi-Fi on new, clean, and environmentally friendly buses to travel all over Erie County. Visit ridethee.com for more information.
Get on board EMTA. Get on board EMTA. Get on board.
Welcome to TalkErie.com's Joel Natale Show, Erie, Pennsylvania's daily podcast. Every day, we tackle the biggest issues that the Erie PA region faces. Stay informed and involved as we advance the narrative of Erie. Now, here's Joel Natale.
We want to welcome via Zoom David Gorman. He is a author and also part of the family at Waldameer Park and Water World in Erie, Pennsylvania. David, welcome to the show. Appreciate it, sir.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
All righty. Of course, we're a family show. Let's get that origin story from you. Yes, you are part of the Waldameer family tree. Talk about that. How'd you come up?
Yes, so Paul Nelson was my grandfather. He owned the park and ran it for about 60 years or so. He passed away a couple years ago, but his memory lives on in Waldameer, which is beautiful and wonderful. My father's Steve Gorman, who currently runs the park. My mom works there. My brother, Brian Gorman, you may have seen him on the news as well. And then there's me.
So, did you go to local high school here? And did you go to college? Tell us about that whole journey, too.
Sure, yeah. So I grew up in Fairview. Went to Fairview kindergarten to 12th grade. Had a really great English teacher that kind of got me excited about writing. Then I went on to study creative writing at Bucknell University, which is in Pennsylvania, in Lewisburg. And now I live in Richmond, Virginia, and I work as a middle school counselor. That's one of my jobs. And my other job that's a little more fun and exciting sometimes is an author and speaker.
All right. Can I jump on the middle school counselor thing for a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Because what we keep hearing, right, is about how these kids, I mean, again, middle school is kind of the nexus of some of the issues coming out of COVID. Are we seeing the needle moving toward better mental health the further away we get from COVID and the lockdowns and things, David?
I think so. I mean, like I'm sixth grade this year, and so my kids were like, first grade or so when COVID hit. So we're slowly getting kind of over the COVID hump with kids that missed basically like 2 years of school. So academically, I think we're getting out of it. I think mental health, there's still mental health challenges. I don't think they're related to COVID anymore. They're just kind of life stuff.
Yeah. And of course, so much of us, given the context of social media, the context of all the things. I mean, we're just more aware. Like, we're not suffering in silence like we might have, back in my day or probably even your day, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, that's one really wonderful thing is like kids, they have language about how they're feeling. They know that to go to an adult for help. They're not embarrassed about seeing a counselor or therapist outside of school. So that's great.
So becoming a children's author kind of in that sweet spot of where you really just know a lot about kids and how they think and what they enjoy and so on. You kind of went with that. So tell us about the journey of your new book series here.
Sure. So I've always loved to read. When I was a kid, I always had a book in my hand. And I always thought it'd be neat to write my own stories. And I would, try, one weekend I would try for like an hour and then give up, as kids do. But like I said, in high school, I had a teacher named Mr. Lane who just, I don't know, I just really fell in love with writing. It was fun. And I decided to study that in college. And I studied, or sorry, I lived in Vietnam for a year teaching
Wow.
English. I came back living at home, trying to figure out what to do with my life. And as I was just kind of working odd jobs, my mom suggested I write a book, children's book about Waldameer to kind of keep my writing ability fresh. So I kind of did it on a whim and just had so much fun. And self-published it, and the reception was great. So I was like, oh gosh, maybe I'll do another book and another one. And people kept asking me, when's the next one coming out? So
Wow.
it's been a great reception.
So, all right, tell us a little bit about that first book, and what's kind of the premise, what's going on there. And first off, have you kind of settled on a couple characters that go through all these books? Tell us kind of the structure and all that, right?
Yeah, so my series is called The Waldameer Mystery Files. It's written for kids 8 to 12 years old, and it mostly follows Seth and Julia, who are siblings. And like me, they spend their summers at Waldameer. They kind of live there. Their mom works there, and they're just kind of always at the park. And it follows Seth and Julia and their friends as they solve mysteries at Waldameer, from figuring out who is causing trouble in the Wacky Shack
Yeah.
to, solving riddles in the water park. Each book is a standalone story, so you don't have to read them in order. Most people like to do that, and I'm one of those people. But yeah, new characters and friends are kind of introduced and come and go throughout each book.
Do they kind of do things in the greater Erie area? Do you pick up some of the landmarks that way, or is it pretty much always on campus there? Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes they do explore. They go to Presque Isle. Well, this is in a future book. They might go to a certain environmental center that's right next to Waldameer.
Right.
Yeah, there's a couple little hidden places that you might recognize.
That's super cool. What about the actual characters of Seth and Julia? Is one more domineering, or what's their take? Again, they're sibs, right? They've
Right.
got a little sibling rivalry, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, so they are good friends. Seth is older, and Seth is kind of like the unofficial leader of the group, kind of making decisions and stuff. But I try to give every character their moment to shine, or each have their own skill set that comes into play. In book 6, which is an all-girls mystery, I met a girl in Northeast, and she suggested that I write an all-girls mystery. So I wrote one for her and dedicated it to her. But in that one, it's just Julia and her girlfriends. So she's a little bit not confident if she can lead the team without her big brother. So that, in the end, she does. But I try to give everyone their time to shine.
That's super cool. You said you're up to 6 books now, or more?
My 7th book came out in March, so I have book 7. Yeah.
All right, tell us a little bit about that particular one.
So book 7 is called The Hidden Heirloom, and it is about a new friend named Naomi. And on her birthday, she receives a series of clues from her late father, who used to work at Waldameer, and he has hidden his heirloom with Alibaba's gold somewhere at the park.
Oh my gosh!
So they're trying to
I
figure
love that.
if there's more to the Alibaba ride than meets the eye. And they kind of learn some life lessons along the way, like, maybe literal treasure is not the most valuable thing in life, right? That maybe people that we care about and the memories we make with them are equally valuable.
Yeah, do you have a desire there to kind of either put some moral stories in or teachable moments within the books there?
Definitely. I mean, I'm not like heavy-handed. It's not like super obvious, right, to kids, but yeah, I definitely have themes of, working together, second chances, the importance of friendship, doing the right thing, being honest, that I kind of sneak in there. Because, my counselor brain is always trying to work in those little social emotional lessons and skills. And I do include discussion questions in the back. If teachers want to read the book as a class, or, I do visit schools and speak to kids to inspire them to read and write. So try to make it as teacher friendly.
I was going to say, you could almost build curriculum based on this, especially in some kind of civics, or I don't even what do they call that kind of that moral instruction type of thing anymore in school?
Yeah. I think it's like SEL is like the term,
Yes.
sort of professional learning. But I actually am working with a teacher to develop some lesson plans for book 4, which is called The Arcade Absurdity. And the big premise of that is that there's a rumor online that there are aliens at Waldameer, and they're trying to figure out if that's true or not. So there's kind of like the overall lesson is like, don't believe everything you see on the internet. So we're going to develop some lessons for that. If teachers want to, take that and run with that.
Quickfill gasoline is made right here in America. United Refining Company, who operates Quickfill, refines its gasoline from North American crude oil in Warren, Pennsylvania. When you buy United Refining Company gasoline at Quickfill, you keep jobs and businesses in America. And you keep American families strong. You don't need to send your money overseas when you buy gasoline. Buy American-made gasoline at Quickfill. Quickfill, driving America.
You have been called
to do good,
to feed the hungry,
to love with action,
to be a light in the darkness,
to love your neighbor,
to teach wisdom,
to walk humbly,
to love mercy,
to care for the least of these.
Will you accept the call?
This is our city.
Our mission.
Visit eriecitymission.org/volunteer to accept the call today.
You don't really have a whole lot of limitations, do you, David, as far as like how kind of out there you want to be with this? I guess it's mysteries. They're trying to solve a deal there. So you can really be creative. This is really awesome.
Yeah, it is fun. I mean, it is like realistic fiction. So, it is grounded in reality. But yeah, I mean, I now that I've written 7, I kind of feel like it's challenging me creatively. I'm like, okay, what's the next mystery? What else can happen? Or what ride can be involved? So they might be getting probably more creative as I go on.
Have you written a book that has the Ravine Flyer in it?
So no, not yet, but I'm going to. I've always, whenever I visit schools, I ask the kids, all right, I want to write a roller coaster mystery. What ideas do you guys have? So I'm still kind of sifting through and marinating and waiting for that, because I know people love that coaster. So I definitely want to, write a story about it.
Well, and the coaster is designed to surprise you. Mm-hmm. When you think about it, you're going through that back come around. First off, you go across the highway, and then you've got those really sharp drops, and you're going in the tunnel. And mm-hmm. I mean, I could imagine there would be all kinds of things you could do with that.
Yeah, and I mean, I've thought about doing some mystery that involves all the coasters at Waldameer. So you're usually kids. Kids are kids, so they're like, oh, how about a mystery where like they fly off the rail, or they go on the ride and no one comes back, they disappear. I'm like, I love that, but for my series, that's not going to work.
Yeah, you don't want actual harm to be happening anymore, right?
No violence happens.
Oh my gosh. When you think about kind of the legacy of your grandparents, and because it's both of them, it's both Paul and of course the whole family. I mean, it's awesome. Just how Waldameer and the family behind it have embraced this community, and how the community has embraced Waldameer. And now you're kind of seeing these really cool, different elements of culture bubbling up, like your book series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't work at Waldameer anymore, but this is my way of, staying connected to the family business. And Waldameer is just such a special place to so many people. And I feel so proud that my family has this business that is, cherished in the community. And my grandfather really thought of it as the community's park. Like it was there for the community. That's why, we had free parking, free admission, all these little things that he wanted it to be accessible to everyone, every walk of life.
Okay, so roll back to when you were 8 to 12 years old. What did you do at the park? And did you have a job?
Of course, yeah. I started working when I was 12, and I started putting wristbands on people at the ticket booths. And back then we had big nasty stamps that were all wet too.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say left hand, please, like 1,000 times a day.
Well, and they would glow, David. Like they I guess if you put them under ultraviolet light, there was something luminant about them, I guess.
Yeah, so thankfully we don't do stamps anymore. But, yeah, so I got really good at putting wristbands on. I served food in the picnic shelters. I, collected money and did stuff in the office and answered phones. So a lot of customer service type things.
That's really cool. There's your book series, but there's also like people that come and do videos. There's the coaster folks. There's the dark ride folks.
Yep.
Waldameer, there's this whole cultural thing that's a part of this as well, beyond just, hey, I want to go to an amusement park and ride some rides or eat some food or something like that.
Absolutely. Coaster enthusiasts travel from like all over the world to come. And so not only is it special to us, right? But, just so many people outside of the Erie area love Waldameer. And there are people, some people with older adults with disabilities love to come. And that's like their fun thing to do in the summer. So it's really, it's fun just to see how special it is and unique it is for each person and how they tap into each, a unique little thing that gets them excited about coming.
We were talking about, we're talking to David Gorman. He's the author of the Waldameer Mystery Files, now getting up to book 7 here. And we were wondering before we had you come on, have you done a book with the Wacky Shack as the centerpiece?
Yes, that's my second book. It's called The Sneaky Sabotage, and someone's causing trouble in the Wacky Shack, and they have to figure out, is it a person or an angry ghost? And there's kind of like a list of suspects, so it's kind of like a classic whodunit. But yeah, the Wacky Shack's my favorite ride, so I was so excited to write a story about it.
That almost sounds like I'm trying to remember some of the mysteries or the whodunits that I used to read, like from the Scholastic books that you would sign up for. What was that? My brain is not coming up with it, but it was those. I used to love buying those books, and that's kind of a thing here where basically, whether you love the Hardy Boys or Nancy Drew, this is kind of in that same realm, isn't it?
Very much, yeah. I used to read the Boxcar Children mystery. So if people are familiar with that, it's very similar to that. Obviously, a modernized version, but they're very wholesome. They're very just like fun summer adventures, really, at the park.
We're coming down to the last couple minutes here with David Gorman. Are you coming to town? Are you going to have any book signings or any kind of events?
Yeah, so I don't live in Erie anymore, but I do come for events and stuff. So the next time I'll be in Erie is in late June, and I'll be at the McCord Library in Northeast doing a book signing and a little talk. But if people go to my website, which is davidwritesbooks.com, they can see my list of events or sign up for my newsletter to kind of see when the next book is coming out or stay abreast of all my fun activities.
And do you do any other writing, or is this kind of consume all the writing energy?
Yeah, so I write my email newsletter, which is biweekly, but that's that's nonfiction. That's just my life. But
okay.
After I'm going to do 10 books in this series, and then I want to transition to still the same age group, but maybe some like sci-fi or I don't know, something not realistic that I can just kind of make up.
Given that, again, you understand kids, given that there's so much digital content out there, right? They're doing shorts, they're doing TikToks, blah, 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 blah. How do you get kids to gravitate to books? Because I think they're still consuming them like crazy, aren't they?
I feel like books will always have a place. And I sure hope that that's true. But I see it's really exciting for me to see kids who, they might be not, may not love reading, right? But if I go to their school and say, wow, I have a book about Waldameer, they're like, oh, their face lights up because they love Waldameer. And they're excited to read a book about their hometown, about a place they've been to. They can picture it and imagine it as they read it. So that local interest about Waldameer really is the key for a lot of kids.
Well, and it goes beyond just Erie County, because so many kids grew up in Pittsburgh, coming to Waldameer, coming to the beach. Same thing, Youngstown and the whole tri-state area. Well, we appreciate you sharing your story here on our Friday, and we can't wait. Again, if people want to actually buy the books, are they also on Amazon?
Yep, they're on Amazon. There are several local bookstores in Erie that sell them, or my website, which is davidwritesbooks.com.
I appreciate it. Again, David Gorman, the Waldameer Mystery Files. Book number 2 has the Wacky Shack mystery. So looking forward to reading that one here. Thanks so much for taking the time, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
You've been listening to The Joel Natale Show, Erie, Pennsylvania's daily podcast from TalkErie.com. Subscribe to our show on your favorite podcatcher and get involved by emailing joel@TalkErie.com.